Like, how many times do you think oh, that did damage?
Oh, 100%. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them that I could think back about getting rocked and feeling my knees go, like getting punched and then keep sparring, spar 2 more rounds with that guy, spar 3 rounds with another guy. He's hitting you in the face too. Like, you didn't stop. It was really dumb. You'd get hit and you get rocked, and nobody like sat you down and go, okay, let's take the day off. No, you get right back in there, man. Your fucking legs would go bang, like your legs would go, and you cover up, and you know, people be throwing bombs on you, and you next day sparring again.
We cheer when they bleed, we go crazy and celebrate knockouts. But what happens when the fight is over and the fighter starts losing their entire mind or life? Every single hit to the head takes something. A memory, a mood, a piece of the soul. And for fighters like BJ Penn, it ends in paranoia, arrests, and delusions like your own mother is an imposter. And let's face it, when a casual or diehard combat sports fan watches a fight, they want to see a war that ends with a knockout, including myself. Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje at UFC 300 was a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It was a fight fan's dream. But as the results of research on CTE become more and more terrifying, that thought in the back of your head as a fan of what these wars do to these fighters long term, it's sad to say the least.
You don't remember?
No, because I train every day, I punch all the time.
Oh, brain damage. Yeah.
Yes, brain damage.
It's brain damage.
My mind. I don't remember nothing.
You don't remember nothing?
No.
According to the British Sports Journal of Medicine, a total of 503 matches were reviewed, of which 36% ended in either KO or TKO. And in another systematic review conducted by the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine, it was reported that 28 to 46% of MMA fights end in knockout or technical knockout, with 12.7% ending by knockout. And when I think about the most recent case of what brain trauma does to these fighters long term, I think of UFC legend BJ Penn, one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitors of all time, who earned his black belt in a record 3 years and 4 months, the first cross-promotional UFC champion ever, and one of the only now 10 fighters to become double champ, winning UFC world titles in 2 weight classes. The UFC Hall of Famer BJ Penn was arrested on a charge of abuse of a family member on Sunday, May 26, 2025, and posted a strange video showing cops trying to arrest him in his bedroom. And on top of that, BJ Penn's mother filed a restraining order after BJ was arrested in back-to-back days.
Former UFC star BJ Penn was arrested yesterday for the 3rd time in 6 days. The 46-year-old was first arrested on May 25th for allegedly assaulting his 79-year-old mother by taking her mail, shining a flashlight in her eyes, then shoving her into a vehicle. The next day, he was arrested again for violating a stay-away order by entering her home. And officers arrested Penn for the 3rd time yesterday after he missed a court hearing, thus violating his bail terms. He claims he has COVID-19 and he's out on $2,000 bail, but is due back.
And in the restraining order, which is yet to be approved or denied by a judge, his mother Lorraine claimed that BJ has quote-unquote used extreme psychological abuse towards me for over the past several months, that I am not Lorraine Shin. I killed his family and have taken over his mother's identity, and he wants me to be removed from his home. He believes I'm an imposter who has killed his family to gain control of the family assets. She also said, I believe my son is suffering from Capgras delusional syndrome, which is a psychiatric disorder in which a person holds a delusion that an identical imposter has replaced a friend, spouse, parent, or other close family member. But Penn had shared a series of disturbing posts on Instagram claiming his mother, Lorraine Shin, and other family members had been murdered and replaced by imposters who were trying to steal his money and belongings.
The TRO had been granted by a judge after Penn allegedly assaulted his mother last month.
Why am I getting arrested? Let's talk downstairs. You guys just want to get me out of the house, right?
Penn posted this video of officers getting him out of bed to arrest him. He claims his mother is an imposter.
In BJ's case, it's just hard to believe him since he thinks every single person in his family was replaced by a quote-unquote imposter. It's just clear that his head isn't really all there, and the trauma is significantly catching up to him. This whole incident is just a single example of a fighter who is very likely suffering through the after effects of brain trauma. I mean, when you look at the history of combat sports, how many of your favorite fighters just don't know when to hang up the gloves and retire, and they just take an unnecessary amount of damage and beatings at the end of their careers?
Take enough beatings for a lifetime, even before he met Gaddy in the ring.
What's it worth? You know, you could die in the ring. What he endured in such a short amount of time with a Toro is not human.
You know, I told her, I said, this is it. Everyone knew I was at that point where, you know, I had gone to the well, you know, probably one too many times. You know what I mean? And enough is enough, you know. All the money in the world is not worth it if you're not coherent. You could have $10 million. If you can't enjoy it, what good is it? And I knew I was gonna go out.
When you look at the UFC specifically, there are tons of fighters that come to mind that ended their careers roughly, suffering through a lot of wars, head trauma, and knockout losses. Donald Cowboy Cerrone suffered 8 knockout losses, while the UFC world champions like Andre the Pit Borlovsky suffered 8 as well. Rafael dos Anjos has suffered 5, and even fighters who are fan favorites like Tony Ferguson and Hall of Famer Frankie Edgar have also suffered some brutal knockouts in the end of their careers. Another fighter who has shown very clear signs of brain damage from his fighting career is former UFC fighter Nam Pham. I mean, just listen to the difference in his speech in just over a decade. It's just so sad.
When you left it up to the judges and they were giving you the decision?
I was kind of pissed. I was like, I was a split decision. I thought I beat him all 3 rounds. Again, you know, second round was iffy, but I thought I landed more bigger shots in the second round.
So you're pretty confident then. So when they were giving the decision, you already knew you had won that fight.
I thought I beat him, but the split decision, you never know, you know. Oh, Mike Swick I think Mike Swick just got a knockout. That's good. That means I got fight night, hopefully.
Some your older tapes, you started to do it with Taekwondo, right?
Yeah, I did Taekwondo when 5 years old or 4, for a month or something like that. I didn't get into it. And took a break as a kid. I didn't appreciate the martial arts. And then when I was about 8 years old, I started really into it.
And just because you don't get knocked out, it certainly does not exclude the amount of serious brain trauma of vicious punches, kicks, elbows, and knees that a fighter's brain has accumulated over the course of their entire amateur and professional fighting career. It could potentially date all the way back to when a fighter just started training in their respective combat sports as a child. Even outside of combat sports, brain trauma is a huge problem in other highly physical and intense sports like ice hockey and especially American football. There have been countless amounts of players from both the NFL and the NHL who had been diagnosed with CTE after they passed. And in the NFL, high-profile players such as Aaron Hernandez, Junior Seau, Demaryius Thomas, Vincent Jackson have all died or have suffered from CTE, or rather known as chronic traumatic encephalopathy. No, there's no definitive test to diagnose CTE in living individuals, and some people might joke around about CTE.
My CTE acting up.
But it's certainly proven to be 100% real. CTE basically destroys and wastes away areas of the brain, which is known as atrophy. Now just imagine what that does to a living, especially once healthy and happy person. With possibly the most infamous case of CTE regarding the late and former NFL tight end Aaron Hernandez. Yes, first off, Hernandez had done some terrible things in addition to the seemingly piece of shit parents he had. But a question that will never be answered is how much Aaron Hernandez's CTE truly had an effect on his real life. Dr. Ann McKee, a neuropathologist and director at Boston University's CTE Center, told Today News that when she studied Hernandez's brain, she said out of over the 700 cases of brain she's examined of CTE, she found that Hernandez's brain was quote-unquote the worst CTE I have seen in a person who has died at the age of 27.
Not only was it advanced microscopically, especially in the frontal lobes, which are very important for decision-making, judgment, and cognition. But we could see damage to the inner chambers of the brain, the septum.
In other words, Hernandez's brain had severe tissue loss and large holes.
Now, I'm not defending Aaron Hernandez's actions by any means, but this does raise questions about the root of his violence, especially since he was only 27 years young when he died with a brain that was already beaten to a pulp. And on top of the NFL, with its history of problems with concussions and CTE, there's also a sport like ice hockey in the league like NHL, where players who played the enforcer or fighting role for their teams, like Derek the Boogeyman Bogard, Wade Bellick, and Rick Ripon, all died due to suicide and were later diagnosed with CTE after they passed.
27, he had endured surgeries on his nose and shoulder, suffered several concussions, and kicked an addiction to painkillers.
Oh, and King stunned Booger there, and then he comes back, and he stuns King!
But researchers at Boston University say that fighting set him up for a lifetime of brain damage.
And Goddard.
Bogard, in the white jersey, was sent reeling to the ice in a fight with Eric Goddard.
And you don't see that happen very often, and Bogard is a little dazed. He was going to the wrong penalty box.
The incident marked his first official concussion, but certainly not his only one.
Specialist saw him in New York and was asking him, Derek, when you've been punched before and you've kind of gone black and then you came back, or hit the ice, would you say that's happened to you 4 or 5 times? And Derek laughed at him and went, are you kidding me? It's hundreds. That's happened every game.
And a part of the problem is that these people in power, such as these billionaire league and team owners, they're always going to ignore CTE and head injuries entirely. These owners don't care about the long-term health and lives of these athletes, as their number one priority is protecting their product and obviously making as much money as they can from it. I mean, could you even imagine the results in research years from now on the long-term effects on a promotion like Power Slap? So the truth is, the more we discover the true risks and long-term effects of brain injuries, the greater chance a company as powerful as the UFC, NFL, or NHL likely loses a ton of money. Acknowledging CTE threatens these world-class leagues and could quite possibly reshape the narrative surrounding these sports forever.
I've seen it my whole life. I've seen people that never had a career in fighting, and they just got brain damage from sparring. And I knew that I was on that road myself. Like I remember one day when I was 21, laying in bed after sparring, and my head was throbbing, and I was just lying on the pillow, and my head was beat, just bing, bing, bing. With every beat of my heart, my head was throbbing, and I was like, what am I doing in my brain? Like, what am I doing? And how much damage have I already done?
Wow.
Because a lot of brain damage doesn't even show up until years after the injury.
Right.
And, there's just, everything's fucked. Everything's fucked.
I just wanted to bring more awareness to a problem like head injuries, because I remember when I first started boxing, one of my first 10 times sparring, I was sparring with my friend Martin, and we were going like fight pace. My coach let it go. Long story short, I got sloppy. We're in like the 4th or 5th round. He threw a check hook over the top as a southpaw, which I dropped this left hand, and he hit me right behind the ear, which is where my balance is, and he clipped the nerve. And I felt my legs get shaky for a second, and my vision went like this. And I was like, whoa, like literally out loud, I said, whoa. And it took, and like after a couple seconds, like everything like came back to normal, and it was, I was fine, like literally a couple seconds. And my coach and my sparring partner, my friend Martin, knew like I got clipped. And I was like, no, I'm good. And my coach was like, no. I'm like, no, I'm good. He's like, no, we're ending it. We're done. And thank God I have a coach that cares about me, because I really appreciated that in that moment. I wasn't mad at all, especially after. Remember talking to my other coach, Libby, on FaceTime, and I just remember like feeling a little woozy, but like I was feeling like energetic, obviously from the adrenaline rushing after freaking sweating my ass off in the ring. And I vividly remember getting home that night, taking a shower, falling asleep, and waking up to my friend Joey FaceTiming me. And I just had a screaming headache. Like I could feel it gradually building up a little bit, like after I got hit, but it didn't really hit me until I fell asleep after that nap. And I was thinking to myself, like, holy shit, I can't take shots like this ever again. Like, I got to try my best not to. Like, that, I made a stupid mistake and I learned the hard way. Never got hit like that again. And a handful amount of times in my career sparring and fighting, I've seen a flash of light, or, you know, I've took a shot in the forehead, which made me a little bit dizzy. And thankfully, knock on wood, never got knocked out or like severely hurt or anything. But all these minor concussions, these you know, these little moments where you're getting hit like that, and you see that flash of light or something, you have to wonder, like, how long can my brain take that without it like changing on me? You never know. Like I said, you never know when all this impact and trauma to your head over and over again is just going to catch up to you. And a story like Aaron Hernandez or BJ Penn, yes, it's a tragedy, but it's also more of a warning, because these are examples of real life guys who are, you know, they might have had everything in the world and been champions and Pro Bowl players and potentially Hall of Famers for some of these guys. And from all the damage they took, like, their life is ruined forever. And yeah, I just wanted to talk more about brain damage and trauma like this, and just thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate it. And yeah, more to come.
'Cause we gon' fight tonight. I need you on my corner, standing right by my side. When I arrive, I hop up in the ring and I step up in the light. Swear to God, yeah, you know I'm gon' shine. Fuck 'em up, really do it this time. Left hook, hit him with a right. Had to put his ass to bed, bitch, good night.